When most people hear hurricane season in the Caribbean, their reaction is no way, I'm not going then. But here's the truth. For savvy travelers, this can actually be one of the best times to go. Resorts are cheaper, beaches are less crowded, and the chance of a storm ruining your trip is still very low. I'm Roger from PriceOfTravel.com, and I will walk you through what hurricane season in the Caribbean is really like. In this video, I'll cover when hurricanes really happen, how that overlaps with the rainy season, where storms usually go, the safest islands, the best timing and strategies, and what happens if a storm does threaten your trip. And I'll share a few personal tips from my time in the tropics, like why those short afternoon showers can actually be the highlight of a trip. Let's get started. So first, the basics. The official hurricane season in the Caribbean runs June through November, but the season really has a peak, and that's from about mid-August through late September. If you've seen the NOAA campfire graph, it's basically a bell curve, with most storms clustered in those weeks. Early June and late November, very little activity. And while it sounds dramatic to say the season lasts 6 months, the truth is that big disruptive hurricanes are actually rare, and most visitors never experience one. In fact, if you ask people who travel the Caribbean often, many of them will tell you they've been in August or September and it was business as usual. The weather could be hot and humid, but a major storm hitting your specific island during your 1-week vacation is still very unlikely. Now here's something important that a lot of people don't realize. Hurricane season is also the rainy season in the Caribbean, and for most islands that doesn't mean days of drizzle, it usually means a quick heavy shower in the afternoon and then back to sunshine. You can literally watch the clouds forming and know when it's time to duck into the bar or take a break indoors. Personally, I actually enjoy those little storms. They cool the air down, they freshen everything up, and when the sun comes back you often get these spectacular sunsets that you just don't get on perfectly clear days. That said, some destinations do get a lot more rain during this time. We're talking about half the days in certain months, so while the showers are short, it's still worth knowing which islands tend to be drier and which are much wetter. So where do these storms actually go? Looking at NOAA's hurricane track maps, you can see the patterns. They form in the warm Atlantic, then curve west and north across the Caribbean. The places that get the most direct hits are the Bahamas, Cuba, Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. The Cancun area and the Cayman Islands are in the middle. They do get hit sometimes, but not as often. And then the further south you go, toward islands like Barbados, St. Vincent, or Grenada, the risk drops way down. Now if you remember those dramatic news clips from the 1980s or 90s, hurricanes sometimes seem to appear out of nowhere and devastate an island just a few days later. That's why some older travelers are still wary. But forecasting has come a long way. These days, meteorologists are tracking potential storms more than a week out. So even in the very unlikely event that a hurricane threatens the exact island you're booked for, you're not going to be sitting in a beach resort as it bears down on you. You'd have plenty of warning, and airlines and hotels generally let people change plans in those situations. So what if you want the absolute safest option? That's where the so-called ABC Islands come in. Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao. They sit just off the coast of Venezuela, basically outside of the hurricane belt altogether. Even at the very peak of the season, these islands almost never see a storm, and on top of that, they have a dry desert climate. To put it in perspective, Aruba only gets about 18 inches of rain in an entire year. Miami gets more than 60 inches. So while other islands might have daily downpours in September, Aruba is sunny almost all of the time. The ABCs are also very different from most Caribbean islands you might know. Instead of being volcanic and mountainous, they're fairly flat, with cactus and desert plants scattered around. That means wide open views, and while sandy beaches aren't on every shoreline, the ones they do have are beautiful. The snorkeling and diving in Bonaire and Curaçao in particular are considered some of the best in the Caribbean, with crystal clear water and vibrant coral reefs. Another good option is Tobago, the smaller half of Trinidad and Tobago. This is really the vacation island with the beaches and the resorts, while Trinidad itself is more about business and industry. Tobago does get more rainfall than the ABC Islands, especially in late summer, but being so far south it's rarely affected by hurricanes. In fact, it's only been hit by one major storm in the last 60 years, which makes it one of the safer bets in the region. And then there's Barbados, which sits far enough south and east that it doesn't get hit nearly as often as places like the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico. It's not completely outside of the storm zone like the ABC Islands, but the risk is definitely lower. What makes Barbados stand out is how varied it feels. Just north of the capital, you'll find a stretch that's sometimes called the Beverly Hills of the Caribbean, lined with celebrity beach houses, luxury shops, and glamorous resorts. But at the same time, the island has a really friendly, laid-back vibe once you step away from that strip, with plenty of more affordable places to stay and explore. Okay, so let's talk timing. The official hurricane season is June through November, but not all months are equal. Early June and late November are technically inside the season, but they have very little activity and resort prices are lower than in winter. August and September are the cheapest months to visit, but they're also the peak of hurricane risk. Still, remember, the odds of a storm hitting the exact island you're visiting during your specific week are extremely small. October is kind of a transition month. The storm risk is dropping, but in many islands it's still one of the wetter months. And then from December through May you get the classic Caribbean dry season. Almost no chance of rain, absolutely no hurricanes, and nearly perfect weather. But of course, that's also when prices are highest, especially around the holidays. So it really comes down to whether you'd rather gamble a little on weather for a much cheaper trip or pay more for the guaranteed sun. So what if you do get unlucky and a storm threatens your island during your trip? First, the good news is you'll know well in advance. Forecasting has gotten so accurate that you'd have several days' notice. Resorts and local governments take this very seriously, and they have evacuation and contingency plans ready to go. And airlines usually let you change flights without penalty if a storm is on the way. This is also where travel insurance can be really valuable. A cancel for any reason policy or one that specifically covers weather disruptions gives you peace of mind that you won't be out thousands of dollars if you need to change your plans. Even without insurance, most hotels in the region have flexible cancellation policies during hurricane season because they know the risk is there. The reality is, you're not going to be stuck in a beachfront resort as a hurricane barrels toward you. You'll have options, and most travelers never face this situation at all. So here's the takeaway. Hurricane season in the Caribbean doesn't mean you should avoid it, it just means you need to be smart about where and when you go. If you want to be guaranteed dry and storm-free weather, the ABC Islands are your best bet. If you're looking for a bargain, August and September can be amazing deals, and the actual odds of a storm ruining your trip are very low. For most travelers, it comes down to a simple trade-off between price, crowds, and peace of mind. And honestly, with modern forecasting and flexible booking policies, the risk has never been lower. Have you ever traveled to the Caribbean during hurricane season? I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more tips and check the link below for my free travel ebook with my best advice and destination guides.